Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. I've got a book review for you. Let's go. Thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate all you do to support the channel. So I recently finished reading Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. It is the read-along pick for my Discord channel this month. If you have not joined my Discord, the link is in the description below. Make sure you join my Discord. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss my content. I'm just so excited to talk about this book, and let's get right to it. So I'm going to break this review down into a few different segments. We're going to talk about how this book hooks you in. I'll give you a spoiler-free summary of the book. We'll talk about the science behind the book. We'll talk about the characters, and then we'll talk some pros and cons. Sound good? Let's go. So the hook that grabs you right away with this book is that it is a sci-fi thriller that answers the question, what if the person living your life isn't you? The story follows quantum physicist Jason Dessen, who lives with his wife Daniela and their son Charlie in Chicago. At one time, Jason was very heavily involved in quantum science, but he gave it all up to start a family with his wife Daniela, and so now he teaches college physics. He leads a pretty normal life, a pretty mundane life aside from his marriage and family life. One day his normal happy life is upended when he is thrust into a different version of his life where he made different choices. So in his reality, at one point he was very wrapped up in his science when he found out that his girlfriend Daniela was pregnant, and so he decided to give everything up to raise their child Charlie and just have somewhat of a normal life. And so he abandoned his scientific pursuits. But what would happen if he had chosen differently? And what if he had a chance to experience another choice? And those are the questions that get answered in this book. And so that's where we come to the science of the book. This follows the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics. The basic tenet of that is everything that can happen, does, or will happen either in this reality or in a parallel reality. And so this book is very heavily focused on the multiverse theory. Another scientific theory that this book puts forth is that our reality is equal to what our mind perceives based on what we can see with our eyes. And so if we see a different version of reality than actually exists, these other parallel worlds cannot be traveled to because the mind gets fixated on what we actually observe and see with our eyes. So the only way to experience these other realities, these other worlds, is to find a way to suspend our observations that allow us to interpret the world around us. So basically we need to suspend our interpretations of what we are seeing with our eyes. And so in this story, the quantum physicists have figured out a way to do that. And so this story is just chock full of different experiences of reality other than the one that we know. We are left to assume that Jason is in our particular world that we all live in, and he's all of a sudden thrust into another reality, another world where he also existed but made different choices. We'll briefly talk about the characters. I already mentioned Jason Dessen, his wife Daniela, their son Charlie. There's also his close friend Ryan Holder, who is also a physicist, and they work together on a lot of their projects. In Jason's current reality, because he stepped away, his friend Ryan continued their research and everything, and got this prize for creating this breakthrough technology that would help to experience the multiverse. And then there's also a woman named Amanda Lucas, who is a colleague of Jason's and also a psychiatrist that worked on the team together. I'm not going to tell you which team. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. She knows Jason, but I'm just gonna leave that right there. You're just gonna have to find that out for yourself. It is a wild ride, guys. It is a really wild ride. So yeah, guys, small cast of characters. There are other characters in the book as well, but they don't figure as heavily into the story as these 5 main characters all together, and it's just a really fascinating story. So now let's talk about some of the pros and cons. I'll start with the pros, of course. It is a very quick read. Very quick. I read this book in 2.5 days. I could not put it down. It just went like that. It was amazing. Very engaging. The prose is really direct. The writing is really quick, really fast, short, choppy sentences, really fast action-paced thriller. So yeah, it's a very easy read. And another pro is that the science is very fascinating and very believable as well. Blake Crouch obviously did his research for this book, and it really shows. I was thoroughly captivated, and the science really made sense. If I have any cons about the story, I would say that it did get a little confusing with the way that we hopped back and forth between a lot of different realities. You can imagine what it was like for the characters, right? But a lot of it did get kind of confusing at times with that. And while the ending was good and it made sense, I had kind of hoped for something different. I was still happy with the ending, don't get me wrong, but I was really hoping that it would end differently than it did, even though the ending made sense. So that's it. That's quite all right. But this is a must own for me. Like I do own the book. I've owned it for a long time before I finally got down to reading it, just because it's an ebook and I got a really good deal on it. I probably only paid like $2 for it way back when. So I'm like, hey, sure, why not? It sounds interesting. At that time, I had heard a lot of people talking about it on BookTube and speaking very highly of it. So I thought, well, why not? I'll grab it. And I'm really, really glad I did, guys. And this just makes me want to read more Blake Crouch. I really do. I'm hoping to read Recursion soon, and his new book Upgrade just came out. I do want to read the Pines trilogy as well. I watched Wayward Pines on TV several years ago, and it was entertaining. It was okay, but I'm very interested to read the books for myself. So yeah, I definitely want to read more Blake Crouch. Based on this book, at least, I think he's probably going to be an author that I want to read everything he's written. That's what I've got to say for that, guys. Let me know in the comments, have you read this book? What did you think of it? Have you been on the fence with it? Is it something that you want to read now? Do you typically like these type of thrillers that are very science-based and are very fast-paced? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And I have a follow-up question for you. If you could live a different version of your life where you made different choices, do you think you would do that? Let me know in the comments below. I honestly, personally don't think I would. I really, really love my life the way it is, and I wouldn't want to change it. Are there things in my life that I look back on and wish I'd made different choices? Sure, absolutely. But it's made me who I am, and I don't think I would change that. Especially not if it involved me being torn away from my family. You know, I love my kids dearly, and I just would never want that. But I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, make sure you are reading more books. I'll talk to you soon.